Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CB2's April full board meeting. I'm Susan Kent, Chair of the board. We will start off the meeting with an attendance. A roll call attendance, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Our secretary. The wrong.
There you go. Mute. Perfect. Okay, can you all hear me? Great. We will begin. And thank you for your patience in advance. All right. Susanna Aaron is absent notification. Akila Asqui,
No, yeah, no.
Will Banesh,
Here.
Keen Berger,
Here.
Carter Booth,
Here.
Katie Bordenaro, Anita Brandt is also absent with notice. Amy Brenna, Rich Cacapolo.
Here,
I got you.
thank you.
Ritu Chatri. Thank you. Valerie De La Rosa.
Here.
Chris Dignan. Mara Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald. I think I saw you.
Here.
Cormac Flynn. Susan Gammy. David Gerber is absent with notice. Ann Hager. Julian Horkey. Zach Kazaz. Susan Kent. Ryder Kessler is absent with notice. Janine Kiley.
Here.
Ivy Quanars. Patricia Laria.
Here.
Michael Levine.
Here.
Ed Ma, I believe. Yep.
Here.
Matt Metzger.
Here.
Daniel Miller. Erica Olson is absent with notice. Juan Osorio. Brian Pape.
Present.
Donna Raftery.
Here.
Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono.
Here, I'm on the phone. Can you hear me?
there.
He's
Hello,
on the
He's
phone,
on. He's
I'm
online.
here.
but his video is not on.
I'm on the phone. Hello.
Perfect, thanks all.
Bo, would you please turn your video on? As a general
I can't, I'm on
reminder,
my
all of
phone.
our people online, please keep your video on.
Rocio Sanz.
I'm on the phone.
Shirley Secunda.
Here.
Frederica Siegel.
Yes, here.
Anna Smith, present. Dr. Shirley Smith.
Good morning in progress.
Chenault Spence. We will be running a little bit late. Perfect. Susan Wittenberg. Anthony Wong.
Here.
And Eugene Wu.
Here. He's on.
I see online.
Okay, great. As I said, we have quorum, so we're now going to go to our public session, which will be run by our first vice chair, Valerie De La Rosa.
Thank you so much. We're going to start out with, everyone will have 2 minutes. I will call based on the order received and we'll get started. So first we have Aaron Piskapink. Online here, could you just like wave your hand or something maybe? Great,
No.
kind of.
No one online can hear us. It looks, I see a lot of blank stares, unfortunately. Oh, no, Rich, thank you.
Fantastic, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Pisco-Pink. I'm the new executive director of the Soho Broadway Initiative. So just wanted to come and say hello. I'm sure I'll see you all around the neighborhood. Way less than 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you and welcome, Erin. Next we have Rocio Sands.
Good evening, everybody. She has a microphone. You need a mic. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The iBank for Site Restoration is the world's first iBank. It's an independent nonprofit organization serving New York City and surrounding suburban counties that is devoted to restoring sight through eye donation and corneal transplantation, as well as providing ocular tissue for research into treatment and cures for other eye diseases. Since the iBank was founded, the pioneering organization has helped to provide beautiful gift of sight to more than 70,000 individuals who have otherwise been blind. Public awareness about the need for eye donations is a key component efforts to restore sight to thousands of individuals each year. That is why I'm speaking on behalf of the iBank tonight. I would like to invite you to attend the iBank's Spring Benefit on Thursday, May 16th. It will be a fun party, disco night with delicious food, drinks, and an auction. If you're interested in more information about the iBank or its disco night event, please reach out to me or to the iBank by calling 212-742-9000 or online at idonation.org. Also, for graduating high school seniors or full-time college students, the iBank offers two $3,000 scholarships, one for public awareness and one for STEM. The deadline is May 15th. So get your applications in, your children's application, your friend's application, to get the free money. Info for both the scholarship applications and the disco night benefit can be found easily on their website at idonation.org. Thank you for your attention. And I just have one personal comment to make. My mom is 98 years old. She was a recipient of a cornea transplant. As a matter of fact, 2 cornea transplants. She spends her time playing dominoes. She sees really well in spite of having 2 cornea transplants. So I urge you all to please become donors, sign up your friends. It's easy and it will help another person greatly. So I hope to see you all dancing at disco night on the 16th. Any takers? I know Lois is going.
Thank you so much, Rocio. Next, we have Raphael Schweitzer.
Can you hear me? Hello. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Raphael Schweitzer. I was a community organizer in the Bronx for about a decade. And I am undertaking a new effort. It is called Comic Book Store Tour. So it is not for profit. There's no charge. And it's introducing people to all the hidden gems, the comic book stores in the 5 boroughs. Now, comic book store is not just about comics. It's about stores that preserve physical media, culture, collectibles, memorabilia. We have a couple in Manhattan, many in Queens and Brooklyn. And the first event is going to kick off on Saturday, May 4th, which is Free Comic Book Day, as well as the weekend of Jane's Walks NYC, organized by the Municipal Art Society. We're going to be meeting nearby at 14th Street, Union Square. Our first stop's going to be Forbidden Planet, which has been there since 1981. And then we are going to take the train to Queens, and we're going to visit a couple local comic shops there. As you know, commercial businesses really don't have a lot of protections. And the comic book shop, you know, it's physical media. People say, oh, well, that's gone. There's Amazon, everything's on screen. No, it's not. People still rely on it and love it. So it's important for all of us to know about all the comic book stores and support it. So I have limited flyers because I didn't print today. This is my 19th community board meeting since February 1st. I'm just going to all around the country. I mean, the city is really a country. It's so big. So just raise your hand if you'd like one soon when I'm done. What was I going to say? And this is also an effort to bring attention to the need for, to rein in, commercial rent. When the lease is up, the rent can go up by any amount. And if you've been there 30, 40 years as a store, you have no right to a lease renewal. When the lease is up, you could be kicked out. So it's important for all of us to help preserve these stores and to have more of them, pop up and be in existence in the 5 boroughs. All right? Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Raise your hand if you want a flyer.
Great. Next, we have Lois Rakoff.
I'll take the flyer also.
I don't know what I did.
You lost.
No, I don't know.
I'll just hold it. That's fine. I'll take the flyer. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Did he shut me off? Okay. This is
You're good. Go ahead.
this is the Washington Square Music Festival is entering its 66th year of free public summer concerts in Washington Square Park every Tuesday in June at 8 p.m. It's free and open to the public, and everybody is invited. There is a rain space, which is at Grace Church. I don't have flyers for you yet for the specific programs of what we're going to be doing each Tuesday, but we have a new, he's not new, I mean, he's like in his 20s, new musical artistic director. His name is Hamed alum. And you might know that Lutz Roth, the artistic director, passed away. He was the one who played the cello and he passed away. And so now we have a new artistic musical director, and you're all invited. And I will speak again, hopefully, God willing, in May with some programs. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lois, always for keeping us culturally aware. Are there any questions for Lois? Great. I don't know if we are connected where we can hear anyone online or not, or where anyone, okay. I was gonna ask if there's anyone who is in the room who did not sign up but would wish to speak for 2 minutes during our public session. Okay, and I would ask online if there's anyone that did not register to speak that would like to speak for 2 minutes, but I'm not sure if we're technically able to do that. So should that come up, then perhaps we will open.
Right.
You want to try?
Who has his hand up? Shall I allow him to talk?
Is it Chandler Forsyth? Yes.
Hi, everybody. I think my video is maybe not
Chandler,
working.
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Chandler, are you with us? It looks like he's speaking. You can see from the text.
Can you hear me?
Behind the closed captioning is some text when people speak.
Oh, okay, hang on.
The video is not on.
Can you X out who can see this transcript?
Okay. 1 second on that.
Yeah,
Do that in a minute.
that'll help you navigate, because otherwise you won't be able to, it's locked. So you have to exit out first. It's the same thing.
Oh, because I see it says that he's speaking up there, so he's been allowed to talk. But we just can't hear. Okay. Well, perhaps maybe we open up the public session online later in the meeting.
Yes, I think that's what we'll do. We'll move forward.
So with that, I will close the public session and return it back over to Chair Susan.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll reopen it once it becomes technically possible to. So let's go. Right now, we have an motion to adopt the agenda. Second? All in favor? Thank you. Now reports from our elected. So we do have some folks in the room. So why don't you all come forward and. We'll keep this moving. Hey. Oh, please.
Hi, I'm Caroline. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Caroline Wexelbaum. I'm from State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel's office. And right now, at this moment, the state legislature is debating one of the budget bills. They're slowly coming out. And I'm not sure, the senator did want to jump on. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to get out of session. But he wanted me to highlight a few things to look out for. One thing is legislation to allow New York City to set its own speed limit, which has passed the Senate twice. It's called Sammy's Law. So we anticipate that being included. And the Local Journalism Sustainability Act, which is a tax credit to independent news outlets to hire reporters. So like the city, newspapers like that would receive a tax credit so that we can help preserve local journalism. Those are the big updates. If you have any questions, otherwise our board report is in the back.
Yes. Cormac.
Hi, did I read, I think in Brad's report or something, that he's working on a bunch of funding for renovation of the West Fourth Street train station, or am I getting that mixed up with someone else?
He is concerned about the West Fourth Street train station in terms of safety, but that's actually in Senator Kavanaugh's district. Sorry, Stacy. But if there is something that you'd like to work together on, we'd be happy to look at it.
I'll wait till Stacy comes.
All right.
Any other
Anybody else?
questions? Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Barth. I'm from Councilmember Eric Botcher's office. I don't have much for you all tonight, but I just wanted to thank everybody who came out and voted for participatory budgeting. It was a 10-day vote week. It was a marathon. We had fantastic online voting numbers, and we had 20 balloting tables around the district, and it went really, really well. By some miracle, we didn't get rained out anywhere this year, and that never happens. So thank you so very much for everyone who participated. I also want to say we had a really successful prostate screening clinic that we partnered with Mount Sinai and Zero Prostate Cancer. And we had a truck come, and unfortunately it was pouring that day. So I feel bad for all the people that came, but came they did. And it's just a fantastic freestanding clinic. It was, I hope everyone got really good news, and it worked out very well. So I think we'll be doing that again at some time. I wanted to say, as far as legislation, of course, I just lost it. Eric just introduced new legislation that will prohibit New York City agencies from purchasing single-use plastic water bottles, not just individuals, but it was put out co-sponsored by Public Advocate Jermaine Williams and Councilmember Julie Wan. And the bill would ban city agency purchase of plastic containers smaller than 1 gallon, with limited exceptions granted for critical public health, safety, and emergency preparedness needs. We encourage everybody to please carry your water bottle and refill when you can. Just regular announcements, as always, on the second Tuesday of each week or of each month, we have our housing clinic. Our Scree-Dree monthly clinic has changed to the third Thursday of each month. Give us a call in the office if you're interested in that. And we have a shred day scheduled, which everyone gets very excited about. Madison Square Park, April 27th. It goes from 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, or until the truck is filled, and the truck fills. So you want to get there, not 10 minutes to 2. And that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Lucia.
How is the snake collection going?
I was going to say something about our announcement of, drones dropping snakes into the neighborhood. We did have people call us who were very concerned, and we calmed their nerves and asked them to read all the way to the bottom of I think one of the people was Kathleen Rattlesnake was one of the representatives. And if you went all the way to the bottom, you would realize it was for April Fools, but it still freaked out a lot of people. And I think Eric enjoyed that. Don't tell him I said that. Everybody.
We have questions.
Oh, I'm
If you could
sorry.
take this microphone, when you ask your question, people online can't hear.
Here, I'll help her.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I think it's great about reducing plastic bottles. But when a group or organization, particularly a city agency, offers water from a large gallon, not to use plastic cups when pouring them in, and preferably not the wax, the cups that have the wax. Because I've noticed that, yes, there's a large cooler, water cooler, and then you have plastic cups, and they're just dumping them into nowhere because it cannot be composable or recycled. Thank you.
Agreed. The council member, actually, we have a water bottle in our office and we're
Give it to
forbidding
Zach.
to buy plastic cups for the water bottle. He's very encouraging with that, but that is a very good point.
Hi, Zach Kazaz here. Very happy to hear you're doing another shred day. I have seen they're very popular. I think last year, Eric Butler's office partnered with the SNY for like a broader household goods disposal event that was in Union Square. Curious if that's on the calendar as well, because also extremely well attended, paint, batteries, electronics.
We do not have anything scheduled yet for recycling of electronic devices, but I'm sure it'll come up. We usually partner with someone every year and we do it around town. So if you are not on our distribution list, just give a call at the office or I'll give you my email. You can send it to me and I'll put it on there so you'll receive all the news.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Sure.
I'm Stacy Johnson from Senator Kavanaugh's office, and I don't have a lot either. The senator's been in Albany all week, probably like 12 days straight. I did write down a few highlights from the budget bills that have passed already. The ones I thought you guys might be interested in. Some increased penalties for retail theft. So if you assault a retail worker, it's a more serious offense now. And also if there are multiple retail thefts, they'll be connected. And if there's an accumulation of the same person, stealing from different locations, that it would also be an increased penalty. Cannabis enforcement, we don't have any details yet, but there supposedly is increased enforcement capabilities by local agencies as well as OCM, and also police, law enforcement. So hopefully we'll get more details and we'll be able to crack down on the illegal cannabis shops a little bit more easily. And to-go cocktails, I know some people didn't want that to pass. It was Governor Hochul had wanted it to be permanent though, and what passed is a 5-year extension. And the housing details and the mayoral control still isn't decided yet. So I don't have news on that.
Any questions? Rocio?
Can you tell us, please, I've heard that you can steal up to about almost $1,000 and it's okay. Is that still the rule?
It is.
I don't know if that's true, and I don't
I
know.
bring my adding machine before I walk out of the store, make sure I don't go over the $1,000.
I will keep that in mind. I know that at the next 6th precinct meeting, the DA's office is coming to do a presentation. I'll see if they know the answer to that question.
CB2, I think, has the next question.
Yeah.
A lot of people now are talking about licensing e-bikes. I was wondering if you had any updates on that.
I don't. I think that maybe you know more about that.
I don't. We have 5 bills. Senator Hoylman Siegel sponsors 5 bills related to this, but I don't really have any updates on them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Did
we're
you,
not covered the budget.
Frederica, did you have a question? Oh, she's passing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt Metzger has a.
Were those budget bills passed or just announced?
Those ones were passed
Do you know when they were?
today.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Get on your computer.
I'm Googling now. I can't find them.
3 bills that passed. City and state had an article that came out earlier today.
Perfect. Thank you.
No more questions. Oh, please.
Roy.
Royce, please.
Big finish.
My name is Roy Ruiz with Assembly Member Deborah Glick's office.
There's no members of the public general.
So the budget's still going, and as you can see, they're making some progress. A piece of legislation that passed the Assembly this month, that was actually Deborah's bill, was one that related to wind turbines. So there are studies that say that if you paint one of the blades black, it'll reduce the bird accidents and injuries by 70%. So that is something that passed the Assembly, and we're hoping that can become law and the standard. Another thing that we're proud to co-sponsor was the Local Input and Community Healthcare Act, which would prevent, which would help hospital closures, be more transparent, have more robust community engagement and public notification. So that's something that we're looking forward to the Senate. We have a shred event coming up on May 2nd, right outside, on Greenwich Street or Avenue. Is it Avenue? Yeah, right there at the AIDS Memorial, and we'll be parked there with a big sanitation truck, shredding paper from 9 to 12, May 2nd. And one more thing is the cannabis stuff that passed today. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that also includes the ability to padlock for some agencies, which is a big game changer. So hopefully we'll see some progress on that front. And thank you so much for the community members who have been working with us to send letters to landlords to remind them that they can also be held liable. Questions?
Okay, I saw Cormac had his hand up first.
Yeah, it turns out I'm wrong. I don't have a question.
Dr. Smith, please.
Who's actually going to be, who's going to be enforcing the padlocking? Cops?
It's a combination of the agencies that are working together to solve it. It's the NYPD, the Sheriff's Office, DCWP, and OCM.
And that's going to start immediately?
It's already started. Don't have details about when it actually, it started?
Started already? Started.
Boom, there you go.
A follow-up on that, there was an article in the New York Times a few weeks ago about the old borough president trying to shut down a illegal dispensary on the Upper West Side. And one of the things it talked about in the article, how woefully under-resourced the OCM is. So curious in this round of budget, if in addition to boosting the hopes that the cops shut down the illegal dispensaries, there have actually been an additional budgetary ask for the OCM specifically.
I think there has been, but this is also not my field. I'm not the legislative person, I'm just a community, but I can't get you that answer. If you want a more detailed answer, you're welcome to email me. I'll give you my email and we can follow up with that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Any more questions? Okay, thanks a lot, Roy.
Thank you.
And our next speaker.
Hi there, everyone.
You can take it out and
Yeah.
hold it.
There we go. My name is Simon from Councilmember Marte's office. I'm filling in for Connor, who's currently on vacation. So I just want to give his report first. He messaged me this morning with a few things. So there was a subcommittee hearing on City of Yes for Economic Opportunity where the council member questioned DCP directly on commercial uses in NYCHA buildings and manufacturing uses in residential areas. In addition, the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity text was also released, and we're also reviewing that. It's a very long, large document. So we're working on that. We had a meeting with Assembly Member Deborah Glick and Senator Brian Kavanaugh on a proposal to transfer 2 schools out of 131 Avenue Americas to a new facility on the Upper West Side and to build condos in the existing school to finance the new facility construction. The council member is generally opposed to the proposal, which would need state approval. And finally, on Connor's report, the gaming facility text amendment to waive zoning regulations for the 3 downstate casinos licenses was voted on today at the council. The council member voted no. However, the amendment did pass with a vote of 35 to 15. So that happened today in the council during the stated meeting. Elsewhere in our office, we introduced every bill from our previous session, including the scaffolding bill intro 774, which is part of a bigger legislative package that would instruct DOB to inspect scaffolding more often, every 6 months. Are similar to Councilmember Bottra's office. We also wrapped up participatory budgeting and would like to thank everyone who took part in that. So thank you very much. We're restarting our adopt a tree program. And so we're going to be having monthly trainings. If you want more information about that, please feel free to reach out to our office. This Sunday, everyone else is shredding paper. We are giving away helmets. So from 11 to 2 on Sunday, you can join us at Essex and East Broadway for a helmet giveaway. You might have seen it on the Link NYC digital things. And the biggest thing that I wanted to highlight was this past Sunday, the council member had a State of the District address at PS 130 in Chinatown. It was a big success. The council member highlighted kind of the things that have gone well over his term so far and things that he would like to continue working on. There was a performance by the PS 130 Lion Dance as well as the Independence Plaza, the Greenwich House Choir. He was introduced by the DA, and it was overall a big success.
Right.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Questions?
None. Thanks a lot. There are no other reps in the room, I presume. Okay. Mark, how are we doing with the online? Because we have a couple of our reps online.
So why don't we give that a try?
Okay.
I'm gonna-
Robin Forrest, Evelyn Collado, Biani Rodriguez, and Andrew Chang are all online.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Is that
Hello?
something-
Yes,
Can we use
no?
a microphone or something to amplify what's coming out? Just have to turn your.
Try again,
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Barely. Oh.
You want a second microphone?
Yeah, only the online can do it. Rob, give it a try.
Any better?
Go ahead.
Okay. I will be quick then. I wanted to announce, I don't know if people heard.
I'm so sorry. We have a very low volume here.
I'm sorry, I can't do anything to increase my volume.
Might as well go.
Okay. I'll try to speak loudly. I hope that helps. The mayor announced today a partnership with private industry to reduce the food-related carbon emissions in the city but by 2030. It turns out that 20% of carbon emissions come from the production of food. And under this program, which is joined by a number of organizations, including Aramac, Columbia University, Great Performances and Harvest, and more, they will work towards producing more plant-based foods, which use less, result in fewer emissions than non-plant-based food. So look for that. And there's a goal that the carbon-related emissions from food will be reduced by 25% by 2030. So a good thing. There is a statistic that I just want to read to you that the Plant-Powered Carbon Challenge, which is the name of it, has the potential to reduce emissions by nearly 40,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year, which is the equivalent of 100 million car miles in New York City. So it's much bigger than any of us might have known. I just wanted to pick up on some of the discussion that our state elected official offices talked about, which is the battle against unlicensed cannabis shops. The legislation, and I'm not sure it's in effect yet, but it may be, will give the police department a lot more power. This is something that the mayor has been pushing for since the entry of so much illegal cannabis shop business. And I think this, the police in combination with other enforcement agencies should really make a dent in the huge number of illegal shops that have proliferated our streets. One more quick note, I don't know if people heard, but there was a big announcement this week about a huge redevelopment plan in Midtown. There will be, as part of a revitalization of the city's Midtown area, there is a big project that was announced at an Abney breakfast earlier this week with Vornado and Rudin Management for a state-of-the-art, brand new office tower that will produce 6,000 jobs in Midtown Manhattan and will help bring back Midtown as a very important business district, not only in the country, but also the world. And that's it. I'm happy to take questions if anybody has any, if you've heard me.
I don't know if we really can because of the audio issue. It might make more sense to, if there are questions, that we can handle those offline.
Sounds good.
We'll forward them and we'll have Robin get back to us.
Give me 1 second. We'll
Thank
try
you.
something different for the next person.
Okay.
Commend all the people who were there in person.
Yes.
They did a good job.
I promoted Evelyn Collado from the Comptroller's office and Benny Ip from the Assembly Member's office.
Okay, Evelyn, can you speak?
Yes. Can you hear me well? All right. I hope they can hear me in the room,
Yes.
but all right.
We can hear you online.
All right. Tell her to hang on 1 second.
Evelyn, I'm sorry, but we're again still having an issue.
Try, yeah. I'm not sure what's wrong. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Oh, I know.
The reasons that
Try Evelyn again.
Evelyn, I'm sorry, we did not hear the beginning of your presentation. We just fixed our audio. Could you please start again?
All right, thank you. Good evening, to CB2. And tonight I just have a couple of updates from our office. The first one is we are holding a panel on Brown versus Board 70 years later. We'll be looking and discussing the state of integration in New York City public schools. This will be on Wednesday, May 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at Brooklyn Borough Hall. And I would, we would love for the community to attend and to discuss about this very timely issue. We also added a new dashboard to our website. It's the Charting Homelessness in New York City, which will be tracking New York City's shelter population broken down by family type, age, race, and other factors leading to homelessness, like eviction filings and shelter exits and with housing vouchers. We will be updating this dashboard automatically at regular intervals. And the last thing is our Homes Now, Homes for Generations campaign was picked up by the council for its preliminary budget response. And we would love to talk to you more about this campaign. We are holding briefings in the first week of May, and I'll be circling back with the board on what will be the best dates for you to engage with us. And we would love to talk to you. Again, thank you and have a good evening.
Well,
Thank you.
I have
Are
a question. I'm sorry, I can't raise my hand. Is that okay?
Who is that?
It's Ivy.
Oh, Ivy, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, I
please.
want to ask Evelyn, so this dashboard, is it accessible to the community or is it
Yes.
like a time? Can
We
you,
just launched it yesterday, so it is open to the public, correct?
so is there a link that you can send us?
Yes, I can post it here, yes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, seeing no other questions? Thank you, Evelyn. Who has been elevated next?
Fanny Ip, I believe, and Gianni Rodriguez.
Okay, Fanny, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, everyone. I'm Fanny, the Community Relations Director for Assemblymember Grace Lee. I'm not going to repeat what other electeds office already said. So the Assembly member is working on the budget. They're trying to get it done, and I think they are trying to get it done by this weekend. So other things that are happening in our office, we did an e-waste event recently with Lower East Side Ecology Center. Other things that are happening in our office, Alex Frazier in our office has been promoted to Deputy Chief of Staff. We're also hiring. We're looking for someone that will serve as a scheduler and also a community liaison. So if you know of anyone, please email me and I will give them the job description and where to submit the resume and everything. We're also taking applications for summer internship in our office. Again, email me and let me know if you want to know the job description. I'll send it right over to you, and I will put my contact info in the chat. So, and that's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Fanny. Mara from Congressman Goldman's office. Online?
Or she declined to be.
Okay, why don't we go next to Biani, who has her hand up?
Oh, I was just about to talk. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Okay, Myra, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Myra Molina. I'm covering for Tevin. He's currently on vacation. I'm here from Congressman Goldman's office. I just have a quick update for all of you. So our office is hosting a congressional art competition, and we would like a lot of high school students in the district to apply. Our deadline is on May 3rd until midnight. So if you know of anyone that's into art or photography, collages, prints, or mixed media, we would welcome them to apply. The art would be in the congressional hallway for a year. So Please let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm just trying to keep it short. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Biani, why don't you go next?
Can you hear me?
A little louder would be better.
Okay. How about now?
Better.
Okay. I am Biani Rodriguez from the Office of Councilmember Carolina Rivera. Not much of an update from me. The council member has started her family leave, so we have a lot of upcoming events in our office. Today we had the Department of Buildings in our office for a few hours to assist constituents with their inquiries. This Saturday, we have a community cleanup with the Sanitation Foundation. And then on May 2nd, HPD is going to be in our office to assist constituents with any questions you have regarding HPD. And then HRA is also going to be in our office on May 16th. And I am going to put all the details in the chat. And as always, we're here to assist you. So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us at 212-677-1077 or email us at district2@council.nyc.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, Andrew Chang from the Borough President's Office.
It's like.
Is he a?
He's
Oh,
an
actually,
attendee.
here we go. He's rejoining. It's on him. It's on him.
Andrew, you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Hey, sorry about that. Thank you all here. I'm Andrew here from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. Thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. I just have a few updates I want to announce. I believe I announced most of these updates already at the previous full board meeting last month. But Tricia Shimamura, our former director of
And Andrew, are you done?
No.
Did he say something? Oh.
Did you not hear me earlier?
We now lost.
We got you now.
Okay, I will thank you all again for having me here. I just want to be brief. I believe I've announced most of these things last month. First off, our Director of Community Affairs, Tricia Shimamura, has left and become the new Parks Commissioner, the Manhattan Borough Parks Commissioner for New York City. Eric Cuejo will be our acting Director for Community Affairs. Secondly, regarding community board applications, we are done with the interview sessions, and we're still reviewing applications and making appointment decisions, which hope to be done by the end of the month or by early May. The borough president is in favor of lifting the 12 FAR cap as it relates to housing. He cites buildings such as the El Dorado and San Remo on Central Park West, which were built before the cap was implemented, as examples of ways that the city can allow for greater development for more affordable housing. We're always looking for volunteers at the Manhattan Borough President's Office. So if you know folks who want to help with packing food to just give out to the community or planting trees, cleaning up parks, please let us know. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions? Okay. Are there any other reps from our elected officials online? If there are, please raise your hand. I see it.
That was beyond.
No, the beyond is done. Okay, I think then we're done with those. Great. So let's brief chair report this morning was Borough Board. Had a chance to listen to some of the concerns from our sister boards, which include issues with enforcement against cannabis, concern about the outdoor dining application management, management of the process, electric bike safety and charging, an uptick in violence amongst young people, and people gearing up for the City of Yes housing opportunity. The borough president gave a report, some of the items that he mentioned, in addition to closing the loophole on cannabis enforcement, were expansion of the list of crimes that can be prosecuted as hate crimes. And he said that it is likely that the open meetings law in its current form will be extended for apparently 2 years. There's no indication that it will be changed in any way. So what you have is what will continue. There was a presentation from the Independent Budget Office on the city's preliminary budget. This is a review that assesses the mayor's budget proposals, and it's one of 3 charter mandated reports. It is the Independent Budget Office should not be confused with the Mayor's Office of Management and Budget. Hopefully we will get a copy of their presentation. So if anyone is interested in the data, there was a comment that the data unfortunately is citywide and doesn't really break down by district. Had an opportunity this month on the 12th to attend the final presentations of our community planning fellows. We had wonderful experience this time around with one from dealing with landmarks, recording violations, and of course the other one on parking, which did generate a lot of interest. But just to remind everyone, this is only about collecting data. It is only about developing a database of primary data on the very local level so that as we move forward, we have some, information to guide us on judgments about future roadbed and streetscape use. We will, as I said, we will be receiving final reports, and I will invite our fellows to come and present in committee. No news on the appointment process in terms of timing, but I have to tell you that we unfortunately had 2 more resignations this month. Zachary Roberts and Kristen Shea have both resigned. So we are now expecting 10 new members. I think that may be a record. And hopefully we will be getting them sooner rather than later. There is a new form that we put together to allow board members who will be appearing online who wish to claim an extraordinary circumstance. It will help us in terms of our record keeping so that we understand who's out there and why they're out there. It will be linked on our site, so you should have easy access. It'll be basically the same place that the qualified disability form is. And lastly, I just want to welcome Emma, our new secretary. This is her first month, so great to have her with us. And unless there's any questions, yes.
Does that extraordinary circumstance, thanks. Does the extraordinary circumstance form count as an excused absence, or it's just
No.
another layer?
No, it's not an excused absence. It is for people who are present and attending via Zoom. But those folks are not going to count towards quorum because they're not qualifying disability. But it allows us to record, to keep track of people who are, appearing in that way. And to identify some of the reasons that it does ask, the form does ask for a general reason for why they are. And it does include the language from the regulatory language so that you can have guidance on what qualifies as an extraordinary circumstance.
I understand. Oh, I don't quite understand. There was a climate event, let's call it, a huge storm, and some people were prevented from attending committee meetings at the very last minute.
Right.
So does that qualify as a?
I would just say common sense would tell you that if there's a dangerous situation and it's proven to remain at home, that would be part of the catch-all that you would use.
But it's not part of the quorum.
It's never part of the quorum. No.
Yeah, sorry to be a pain and keep on asking about the same thing. Is that required by the borough president or the city, this form? Or is this just something that we came up with?
Okay. Mark, why don't you?
Sure.
Because he
I'll be glad to take that one. So first of all, this is the same state law that that the chair just talked about with respect to the ability to participate remotely at all.
So my question is, what's preferable for us to fill out that form and participate over Zoom, or just not show up at all? Because this just adds a layer of bureaucracy that's unnecessary for volunteers. And extraordinary circumstances, I mean, it just sounds prohibitive.
Okay, we're not introducing a new layer of responsibility.
Well, you are, because you're asking for documentation.
I'm sorry you think that helping us keep records is that much of a burden.
I agree with Rita.
Okay.
Yeah.
But look, if you choose not, if you can't make it, you can't make it, and that's an absence, and that's it.
Okay.
And, if it's a.
So you prefer people not to show up at all as opposed to show up on Zoom? That's basically what you're creating in terms of the requirement.
Absolutely not.
Allow me, I'm sorry, because I'm simply trying to make sure that the reverse is true. That if you go to the effort of attending online, that we have a record that makes sure that your vote counts, because the default is that it doesn't. And so we want to make sure that it. No, I'm sorry. Let me be clear. And maybe this is a point that needs clarification. There is a difference between being able to vote and being a part of quorum.
That
So-
was not clear.
Okay, so I apologize for that. And let me now, explain. The open meetings law only allows people who have that self-certification of disability, either permanent or temporary, to count towards quorum. And there are 5 of our colleagues that meet that requirement. The absurdity is that if I have COVID, I'm not a voting member here, but let's pretend. If I were a member of the board and I had COVID, and there's every reason to not want me to show up in this room in a hospital, my choice is either to not show up at all and be absent, or that would, I hope, satisfy anybody's definition of an extraordinary circumstance. And so all we're doing is keeping track of that. So if somebody ever said, hey, Mark wasn't in the room, what are you doing counting his vote? We have a piece of paper that says that he had an extraordinary circumstance that night, and therefore we're counting his vote, even though he doesn't count toward quorum. And that's something, by the way, if there are state legislators in the room where they're representatives, there are a lot of ways in which the chair and others have opined about ways to fix open meetings law in a broader sense, but a smaller one, which is you shouldn't be put in a position of choosing between sharing your COVID and meeting quorum. That if the extraordinary circumstance were to exist, you might want to whisper in your state senator's ear that that is an easy fix. All it takes is a comma, I believe, and a semicolon in section 103-A of the Public Officers Law in order to make that whole thing work. So anyway, I'm blathering on, but I hope that that's clear so that it is not a layer of bureaucracy, but rather preserving your ability to vote and have it count.
Thank you for that clarification.
Can you send
That
me
was-
an email with that request?
Sure, actually, Caroline can do it because I already sent it to the, I already sent it to Evan. I saw the senator at a coffee at the curb on Sunday. Anyway, should I go on with yes, okay. So I want to thank Lennox Health Greenwich Village. This is a really comfortable room. I promise you that everything worked perfectly at 3 o'clock. And when the nice folks that came in who were being certified for their emergency medical training, for their CPR, they had to turn all this off. Next time, I don't care. CPR be damned. We're going to leave the Wi-Fi on and go forward. You'll notice that the calendar that's in your board package is a little different this time. We've added a couple of things. One is my nudge request for when it is we want to get the next board package out. But more importantly, there's now a date that says when the first calendar for the next month is going to go out. This is mostly for committee chairs, but if there's anything that needs to be in the calendar, that will be the date we're going to shoot for. Is it immutable? No. But we're going to shoot for those dates that are in the calendar. Usually it's about a week and a half before the start of the month. It's certainly before any of the meetings that are scheduled for that month. I just commend it to your attention. Let's see. The chair already talked about Urban Fellows. They were quite remarkable, and we were able to listen to a few of the other boards' fellows. I like ours, by the way, but they did an amazing job, and there's a lot of interest out there in this kind of research. And Aldrin Bonilla runs a great meeting and is a great leader. The reconstituted 6th Precinct Council and I are working together to try to address a few things that are sort of build another connection between CB2 and our community, and is already paying dividends. And that I can now report to you that there is an individual, you know already that package theft, the theft of unattended property, is one of the #1 crimes in our very safe district. And it makes you feel not safe, even though in the bigger picture we are. Well, apparently there's a fellow who stole an Amazon jacket and is bringing doorbells. And of course, if you see the Amazon jacket, you're going to let him in. So this is me warning you to be a little extra careful. We are also, thanks to Will and the Street Activities and Resiliency Committee, there was a terrific presentation on food carts and food trucks. I won't steal his thunder, but I will say that DSNY, which turns out to have more responsibility for policing food trucks and food carts than they used to, is being incredibly responsive to us. And I'm, so shout out to Superintendent Phillips and the entire crew and Marissa Yanni. And thanks for that. And I'm certain it's because of the attention that Will's committee gave to it. That's a good place to stop. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions for him? I'm going to turn this back to Valerie. Since we're now able to hear some of our folks online, we've got speakers.
Great. So I just wanted, with the public session reopened, if there's anyone online who signed up to speak but I did not call, if you'd like to speak for 2 minutes, please raise your hand. Right, I don't see anyone who's raised their hand, so I will close the public session once again and turn it back over to our chair, Susan Kent.
Okay, so that ends our public session. We are now moving into business session. I'm sorry. Oh, my apologies. Oh, it's on.
Good evening, folks. You have in your packet this quarter's updated reports. The only numbers that we really had to change was a projection budget for the staff due to the promotion that we gave last month. So we're still expected to spend another $86,841 by June 30th. And that's the report. Any questions? Nope.
Okay, so now we can finish. And let's see, I guess we are going into business session, so it will be time for our next roll call.
Okay. Let's use another. Oh, wait, I just heard it. So exciting. Thank you. Okay. Akila Asqui. Or shall I just do last names? Is that? Let's do it. Okay, Asqui. Benesh.
Here.
Mark, can you?
Try that.
Berger.
Keenberger. I really want my
Keenberger?
first name.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Keenberger. Booth.
Here.
Others should feel welcome to give the same feedback. Katie Bordenero.
Online.
Here.
He's online now, yeah.
Thank you. Grant is absent with notice, excuse me. Amy Brennan. Rich Cockapolo.
Here.
Online.
He's on Zoom.
Ritu Chatri.
Present.
Thank you. Valerie De La Rosa.
Present.
Stignas.
He's here. He just walked out.
You just said that, right? Okay. I'll catch him when he's back. Mara Fitzgerald.
Here.
Stella Fitzgerald is on Zoom, I believe. Yep, still there.
Yeah.
Cormac Flynn.
Here.
Susan Gammy.
Here.
Ann Hager, I believe is on Zoom now.
People on Zoom could say here. Helpful.
Is Ann?
She's still on? I don't see.
Okay, I'll come back.
No, I think Ann has actually sent me something, no.
Okay. Julian Horkey. Zach Kazaz. Susan Kent.
Present?
Jean Kiley.
Yeah.
Ivy. Von
Here.
Ars.
Here.
Patricia Laria.
Yeah. Speak louder, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Levine.
He's here.
He's here. He's still down.
Okay. Ed Ma.
Here.
Matt
Edmas
Becker,
here.
Here.
Daniel Miller.
Actually, I think he's after the notice, by the way, not just absent. I think.
Okay, I'll follow up with you. Juan Osorio. Brian Pape. Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff.
Present.
Oh, Riccobono. Votes. Yep, I think so. Rocio Sands.
Present.
Charlie Secunda.
Are you here?
Frederica Siegel.
Here.
Emma Smith, present. Dr. Shirley Smith. Chenault Spence, I believe, has joined us.
Yep. She's new, right?
Susan Wittenberg. Anthony Wong.
Here.
Eugene Yu.
Here.
Right, that's it.
I didn't hear my name called. Chenault.
Thank you, Emma. I'm just going to ask everyone who's online, if we take, we'll have another roll call, please actually say here so that you don't scan for you.
They have been, the audio is not working.
Oh, the audio's down again. Okay, I'm sorry, but I didn't realize it was down again. Thank you.
I've got Chenault. I think I have everyone online. Thank you.
Okay.
If you didn't hear me, confirm your presence, please. Chat in.
Okay, so the next item is an approval of the March full board minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or questions about that? If not, I will take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to our standing committees. So first we'll go to landmarks. I don't know if Chanel's going to be able
Yes,
to. So I
are
think
you able to hear me satisfactorily?
he's not, Chanel, we're not going to be, we cannot hear you at this time.
We haven't tried yet.
Oh,
No?
They can try with the roll call.
No, say something.
Jamal, could you say something?
Yes, I'm ready to give my report.
okay, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. We had one meeting, rather lengthy. Everything is unanimous. 155 Sullivan Street to legalize the installation of HVAC in front of a primary facade, install movable planters, relocating and replacing statuary, and installing signage. This is a rebuild of the garden of St. Anthony Church on Houston Street. It was not quite ready, so we have asked them directly to lay over with landmarks and come back with a more complete presentation. And we made some suggestions that they seemed amenable to. It didn't rise to the level of the sort of legalistic one that we'll come to later. 150 West 11th to legalize the installation of a stoop gate without LPC permits. Recommend approval of the stair gate. 40 Worcester Street to remove a fire escape from a primary and secondary facades and construct a penthouse addition. Approval of the removal of the fire escapes from the front and rear facades, approval of minimally visible penthouse and placement of mechanical equipment, and the relocation of the elevator mechanical equipment enclosure. 7074 Gansford Street. Application to install new signage and lighting, modify the storefront infill signage, and modify the marquee roofing and the Gansford Street and Washington Street facades. If you're looking at the whereases, I'd like to call attention to G and H, which have to do with putting 70 globe lights in one of the marquees of a typical Gasport District marquee and 84 in another one. They came with absolutely no information except a picture of a small light bulb without any even dimension for it. And you'll see that G and H are extensive outlining the details of the omission of the application. Unusually, therefore, we approve the modification of the infill, the security gates, and the illuminated entry sign, and the marquee and banner signs, and the security cameras. In view of the deficiency of the information presented about the marquee lighting, that the applicant return to a public hearing of the Community Board Landmarks Committee with details about the marquee lighting with precise specifications and a lot of details about what I expect to see. We use the more severe version of this because we pointed out in great detail the deficiencies and that they needed to come back, and the applicant immediately complained that they were in this great rush and couldn't do so. So we expect the Landmarks Commission to enforce that. I'll sum up the next one. There are a lot of details, but it involves a building that's known as the Tortilla Flats for years and years. At 767 Washington Street to rebuild the front facade and rear facades to reconstruct the facade of an addition to the building that was formerly a garage, and to arrange a compliant ventilation system for the kitchen that is described as a chimney. It's quite obvious, and they've done the best they can given the regulations about where it has to be and where it can't be. And significantly, the excavation of the basement minimally and a new excavation underneath the addition that involves some underpinning. And there's the usual concern about the danger to the building and to adjoining buildings. The resolution: approve the facade work throughout, the ventilation system, and the rebuilding of the extension wall. Approve the excavation provided that the preliminary engineering studies are carried out and that care is taken to ensure the integrity of the subject property and the neighboring property, and that all applicable regulations are followed. Unanimous. 301 Canal Street and 419 Broadway to 423 Broadway. Application to reclad the existing structure at 101 Canal Street and 119 through 121 Broadway to install new storefronts and signage. And application is also to replace the storefront infill, new signage, construct a rear addition, and install a new stair bulkhead at 423 Broadway. This is essentially a corner plot, and the extreme north and west are reasonably intact, original row house type buildings, and the corner is derelict one-story buildings, and the one-story buildings altogether are the subject of essentially a new building. Approval of the demolition of the corner building at Canal Street and Broadway. Approval of the restoration of the enlargement of the intact North Broadway building, the restoration of the West Canal Street building, and the one-story corner building incorporating the area of several derelict demolished buildings. Denial of the bulkheads and recommendation that they be higher to conform closer to those of the district, as presented in examples of the neighborhood context. Denial of the aggressive signage in each bay as presented, and recommend that the lettering be no more than half the size of those presented using pin-mounted and halo-lit individual letters, as is the accepted style for the modern lettering in the district, and that the number of signs be reduced depending on the number of retail tenants. That's the presentation.
Thank you, Chanel. Does anyone want to discuss any of those 6 items or call any of them out? If not, we will vote on these. If there's no objection, we'll vote on these as a block. All those in favor of items 1 through 6?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals? Wait, I'm sorry, I see a hand up online. Katie, were you voting in favor?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry, Ivy has her hand up. Yes, Ivy, please go ahead.
I was voting in favor, sorry.
Ivy, were you voting no?
I was voting in favor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I think it is unanimous in favor. Okay. So we'll next go to Human Services.
So we had so we had a pretty straightforward meeting.
Unfortunately, people can't see you if you're sitting there. Okay.
Is there a microphone?
There is a microphone there.
You could sit on a chair.
Well, that's
I
why
don't
we
even think that's all right.
have someplace.
People hear me? All right. We had an update from Paul's Place, which is a safe haven for the homeless, the safe haven and a drop-in center. We got an update as to what is happening with the community and where they are with respect to their program. We had one resolution, which was a discussion, I think, that has been involved with several committees on the Council District 2's resolution number 248. It's a resolution calling for a comprehensive review and redrafting of NYCPS guidelines on gender with regard to the application and impact on female athletes participating in physical education, intramural, and competitive public school athletic league sports. I will just read therefore. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 2 Manhattan rejects the Community Education Council District 2's Resolution 248 as discriminatory and harmful to transgender students. 2, reaffirms the rights of all students to a complete education, including physical education and athletic competition, and rejects all forms of exclusion therefrom. 3, believes that all students learn best in an environment that welcomes differences, teaches respect, and values children's full identities. And 4, urges Chancellor David Banks and the NYC DOE to ensure that members of CECD2 comply with the Chancellor's Regulation A-832 and Regulation D-210 and enforce violations thereof. And the vote was unanimous in favor.
Thank you, Ritu. Is there any, yes, discussion, please.
Not a discussion, just a comment. I just really want to commend the committee for part 2, especially of that resolution, not only in the strong position that we took or that you took on behalf of the community board, but also I really want to commend you for the care, nuance, and detail in this resolution. So
the
bravo.
themes, I should say, should go to Susanna, Janine, and Ryder.
Well, thank you to everybody who was involved because it's a really important statement.
I will point out that this morning at Borough Board, there were questions. Some of the chairs were wondering, how to respond to it. And I suggested that they look up our resolution as an example of a very detailed, thoughtful, response. Yes, Janine.
I just want to throw out Patricia Larry and Mark Fitzgerald
sorry,
as well.
yes.
Actually, Patricia Marr and I attended the CEC meeting where this was passed.
It was really very helpful to have some of our schools and Ed, our chair and vice chair there to participate, so that this was really a well thought out. Yes, Carter.
It's a couple of small things, just I think that to tighten this up.
Mhm.
And whereas number 3, it should probably not say the draft language of resolution 248. It should probably just say resolution 248 because it's already been passed, so it's no longer a draft. And then also just if somebody could, I think and then also for the Chancellor's Regulation 832, I don't think it's been changed yet. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I looked online, it still only applies to students, not to the adults yet. We had asked for it to be changed, but it
Yes.
hasn't been changed yet. And so,
Right.
and so it should probably be accurate in the resolution that,
Yes.
because it's not, the language isn't clear.
No, he's right.
But I mean, because this is in the moment and that hasn't been changed yet.
I agree with you on that. I did want to mention that the schools committee in February or January, we actually did a resolution uplifting the changing of that first chancellor's reg to include a code of conduct for parents that sit on DOE or school facing boards or councils. That really would have helped with this issue. And D210 is the other remedy, which is reflected in this resolution. But yeah, we saw this coming and did it in February, before resolution 248 even dropped. So we're very happy to have the additional support, not just from Human Services Committee, but citywide. people are really standing up for this and I think it's wonderful. We think.
Since these are technically amendments, I will accept a motion to accept those amendments. Motion.
There's just one other.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that the last therefore be it resolved, when it says to ensure members of CEC D2 comply with the Chancellor's Regulation 832, that's actually not correct yet because it only applies to students, not to the CEC.
Isn't that what we're discussing?
No,
Confused.
a little bit. I'm just,
Oh, wait a minute. It's a second, this is appearing in a second place on the,
correct. So number 12 identifies what Mar talked about, what we had asked for, but it's not yet changed. And so we're asking the CEC to comply with regulation D210, but the regulation A832 doesn't apply yet to the CEC.
okay.
I don't have any clues on what you're talking about. Draft something and send it via email. Yeah.
Okay, the goal here is simply to bring the language up to what is currently in effect and what we are asking to be done. Correct? Okay. If you can support that concept, then we can vote to accept and you will get the specific, the language change is very small. It's really a question of timing. And that so that we're talking in the correct, that what has happened versus what we want to happen. So if everyone's comfortable with that, then we can vote to approve these amendments.
We accept that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? I'm sorry, yes, I have one opposition or an abstention. Okay, I have one abstention from Sands. Okay. Okay, and then now we will vote on the resolution as amended. I'm sorry, please, you have a question by all means.
Yes, I do. Okay. I think I'm the only one here as a high school phys ed teacher. And I don't think that the Community Education Council district should even get involved in this stuff because they really don't know what they're talking about. I like the resolution, our resolution, CB2. But I question two things. One, why is it only towards female athletes and not male athletes? I think there's a discrimination there. And also, I really think that it's up to the New York City Public School Athletic League, the PSAL. They make the eligibilities for the competition on a high school level. And the high school level, it's not just, they look at the grades and there are ringers. And sometimes these competitors come from another high school or another city, and then slowly they come onto the team so that there'll be a ringer, and that ringer will help that team win. So it's not just a matter of a female wearing a male's bathing suit in competition or a male wearing a female bathing suit. It's a very deep, very, very deep situation, and it can affect college scholarships as well. And I commend the Human Services Committee for even getting into this, but there's much, much more that has to be looked into.
Well, if you want to continue discussion on this, it's certainly something that can be dealt with at
Well,
a
it's
future,
gonna
at a future
continue.
committee, but this is,
Yes.
what's on the table right now.
Just wanted
is
to
this
make that
resolution, so I
statement.
have to ask if you have a specific
No.
amendment. Okay.
No, I just wanted to make that statement. This is a very deep situation that will be our future for males and females.
Absolutely. So if there is there anything else, any other comments, discussion, questions about this resolution as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, I've got 3 abstentions. I've got Raftery, I've got Rakoff, and I have Sands. Thank you. It passes. Okay, next then we go to street activities and resiliency.
Okay, hello. Good evening. So we have 11 resolutions, as well as a number of FYI renewals. Everything was unanimous. Quickly going through 1 and 2, D&D Matcha Truck, both Soho and Washington Square, April 3rd and 5th. This was unanimous approve. 3 Reebok, April 13th, Broadway between Broome and Spring. That was unanimous approve. Number 4, Upside Pizza, April 20th, Mulberry between Prince and Spring. This was a no-show deny. 5, April 27th, Christoph Robbins Sampling Truck, Broadway between Broome and Spring, no-show deny. April 28th, Hero Cosmetics Day, 5th Ave between 8th Street and Washington Square North, unanimous approved. Number 7, Floral Orb. This is the official after party to the Met Gala this year. Very detailed setup that they're planning in meatpacking. We gave them some suggestions. This is the kind of thing that we felt is definitely happening, regardless of what we say, but we thought we gave some good suggestions. So that was unanimous approve. Those included visual message boards and the like that we suggested. Number 8, this is May 10th to 11th, Netflix Bridgerton activation, 1-day activation. That's actually only a 1-day activation on the plaza. We should change that. It's only on the 11th. That was a unanimous approve. Number 9, Equinox Soho, May 17th to 19th, no show deny. Number 10 was Preview the Public Theater's Comedy of Errors, May 23rd to 25th. So because the Delacorte Theater in Central Park is under construction this summer, this has to do with doing Shakespeare in the Park performances actually throughout the city. So that was unanimous approve. And then number 11, Festival of St. Anthony, Sullivan between Prince and Houston. This actually was denied by SAPO before they came to us because it's being classified as a new multi-day festival. We suggested, and this was a festival that happened many times in the past, but they've stopped doing it for around the last 10 years. We did a unanimous approve and suggested that they start off coming back with 1 day and then see if they could expand it to multiple days after that. And then 12 through 23 were FYI renewals. Those were unanimous approve. And then I'll just mention, as Mark said, we did have a very, I think, interesting discussion with representatives from both DOHMH as well as DSNY on mobile food vendors. I've put together a report. Please feel free to read through. I think the biggest takeaway, as Mark referenced, is, a lot of folks have just been reporting stuff to 311 with often results, with often really no results. And so knowing now that we have, there's actually a force of dedicated DSNY enforcement agents, and we do have a direct line into them now. So any issues with food trucks or carts, please let us know. Please let Mark know, and we have a way to sort of send that in. There's other stuff too, but I think that was the most important.
Thank you, Will. Does anyone want to discuss any of the items that Will mentioned? Call any out? Okay, Chanel, please go ahead.
I wanted to ask about the Met Gala party. Is there a different way of evaluating something? It would seem to have no neighborhood connection apart from the fact that it's rented space in a hotel in the district to do it. And it seemed to be, from reading it, a rather disruptive thing.
It's a good point. I think the way that, we have found that we operate best in the past is if there's very high profile events like that, which would seem that they have senior sponsorship at the city level and are going to happen, rather than sort of go against them. We try to find ways to get them to improve things. And that was our approach here.
There's no way that's not happening.
Right, yeah. And I'm just.
Any
the
other questions
evaluation-
on any of the items? If not, then we will vote on 1 through 11 and 12 through 23, the FYIs as a block. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals? Yes, I have a,
I have to recuse on numbers 7, 8, and 15. I'm a voting member of the meatpacking bid.
okay, so Rafter is recusing on those. Thank you. And yes, Cormac.
And I have to recuse on number 10, as I am a voting member of the Village Alliance Board.
Okay, Cormac Flynn on number 10. Recusal, he is a voting member.
Well, I'm community board rep to the Village Alliance, but I don't.
No. You're not, that would be like a board member.
No.
You're,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
okay. Okay, so those all pass. So, and next is traffic.
Let's see. Yeah, well, that's a little difficult. Okay, but I'll do it that way. Okay, we had 3 resolutions. The second and the third were unanimously approved. The first was approved by everybody, but one public member abstained. First resolution was in response to a request for no parking regulations for a residential loading zone at 583 to 587 Broadway, also known as 158 Mercer Street. And let me get to the results on that. You know what? Okay. You know, I'm trying to see if that might be. Not, I can grab something else, just a second. Thank you, yes. Okay, so resolve, Community Board 2, Manhattan does not support changing the parking rules in front of 158 Mercer Street to no parking anytime or any other loading zone variation from the one that already exists. Also strongly recommends that DOT conduct a study of current activities in relation to parking and accommodation of drop-off, pickup, deliveries, and other curbside use throughout Soho to determine existing patterns and needs and develop a community-wide plan to address and correct existing conditions. Further, we urge DOT to quickly expand its neighborhood loading zones program, now under loading zones heading, to CB2 by distributing surveys for input on appropriate locations, arranging for a presentation to CB2 about the program as soon as possible, and examining the CB2 area to assess where the neighborhood loading zones should be placed. And finally, implores the New York City Police Department to conduct an intensive campaign to enforce the proper usage and availability of loading zones throughout the district. So that's 1. Okay. Now 2, I think I have in the right, you know what, let me do it through here. So the next one is resolution requesting a comprehensive study of open streets and Community Board 2, Manhattan, concerning their placement in relation to surrounding streets and how they're used and managed, as well as the removal of certain non-functional open streets. And I will give you, we have many resolves, so bear with me. But first I will find them. Hold on. Okay. So, be it resolved. CB2 strongly recommends that the open streets on Lafayette Street between Spring Street and Kenmare Street and on Morton Street between 7th Avenue South and Bleecker Street be canceled immediately, not only because of their heavily negative impact, but also because in the case of Lafayette between Spring and Kenmare, the reimagined Petrosino Square study and the improvements it will bring are long overdue and should be activated right now. In the case of Morton Street between 7th Avenue South and Bleecker, agreement already has been reached with CB2's SLA committee to discontinue the open streets there and its designation as a school open street is erroneous. Further, CBS positively views canceling the extended open street encompassing Spring Street between Sullivan Street and Thompson Street and Spring Street between Thompson Street and West Broadway. But in consideration of expected changes on traffic patterns when congestion pricing goes into effect in June 2024, asks DOT to conduct an in-depth traffic study of the Spring Street corridor in question and surrounding streets once congestion pricing is underway to determine how they relate and impact each other and devise approaches which may include cancellation to mitigate these impacts. Further, CB2 urges DOT to conduct a district-wide study of CB2 traffic patterns, street operations, and interactions to determine locations where open streets can best benefit the community and contribute to a smooth, harmonious flow of community life. Further, CB2 encourages DOT to set up a program in which DOT personnel regularly inspect operations of open streets to ensure proper management is done by community partners. Further, asks that DOT send the community board the lists of open streets prior to DOT approval in order to receive community input on them. Further, requests that DOT work with the community board to determine open streets uses, enhancements, and amenities, and to develop solutions to open street challenges. Finally, CB2 is in favor of open streets full closure schools. And there was a typo there. After full closure, there should be a colon. Okay. And last, and I just want to tell you that this one, it had been revealed to me that some of the intention of this was not quite clear. So there were a few words put in one of the whereases, which I will tell you about and read it, and also in the resolve. So anyhow, this is a resolution calling for a parking protected bike lane on 6th Avenue, Avenue of the Americas, from Bleecker Street to Greenwich Avenue, West 8th Street, connecting to the 6th Avenue parking protected bike lane that begins at Greenwich Avenue, West 8th Street. And let's see now, and now I think I'm going to switch because I have those changes, which I'd like to tell you about. So again, hold on, let me get it. And I'll read it. So, there it is. Okay, so on the 6th, just pay attention when I go to the 6th whereas.
Oh, you've got to speak into the microphone.
Oh, okay. Here I am again. 6th whereas. So that has been changed a little bit, and if you follow, you'll see where the changes are. Whereas 6th Avenue south of Greenwich Avenue is currently milled and scheduled to be repaved and repainted in the next 60 days, and a protected bike lane can be created with paint and flex posts, presenting an opportunity to install such a PBL to provide needed protection now on a vulnerable stretch of 6th Avenue that truly needs it. While plans for extending the bike lane all the way down to Lisbonard Street beyond Canal Street are being completed. So that was the change in the whereases. And now, be it resolved, I'll read you, be it resolved. What's the paper here? Okay, so it's just one be it resolved, and you will see what the changes are. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 calls on DOT to use this window of opportunity to expedite the installation of a parking protected bike lane on 6th Avenue from Bleecker Street to Greenwich Avenue, West 8th Street, defined with paint and flex posts, with plans to install concrete islands later. And here's the new part, in advance of the expected completion of the bike lane's extension to Lisbonard Street. And that is
Yes,
it.
Carter.
They already repaved it.
When did they repave?
No. 6th Avenue's already been repaved.
Yeah.
Is your page, yeah.
Oh, and we were told it wasn't to me.
Yeah, it's not painted, but it's
That
repaved.
they would at least take
They
Like
told
8
us
weeks
6 to
or
8
something,
weeks,
or 6
yeah.
weeks.
5 days ago, I think they were.
Wonderful.
They actually just did it to spite us.
Is there a possibility that they meant that they're going to do more parks?
I'm just saying it was milled and it was repaved
Okay.
2 Friday nights
And the
ago.
whole area?
From Houston to Greenwich was repaved. I mean, it's just
The
blank
Greenwich.
canvas. It could still be painted.
Yes.
I'm just saying it was
DOT
just
rep had
repaved.
told us that this was first going to be done.
Okay, so actually what you're saying is that the language in the printed version, it would be accurate. We do not need the language that Shirley has added.
Well, no,
They're
because
still
the,
not repainted. I'm just saying. it's
okay,
repainted.
so that maybe,
Okay.
yes, then, okay, not repainted, so they're still on their way, they could repaint, they could paint a bike lane there, and they haven't done that, and I will tell you why the language was added. It was added because there was confusion.
Okay, you're not speaking into the microphone. Sorry.
The language was added because there was confusion. Because since 2016, we have been asking for the bike lane, the protected bike lane on Sixth Avenue to be extended to Canal Street. Now we are told by both member Botcher's office and by DOT that now an extension is in the works, not only to Canal Street, but south of Canal Street to Lisbon Street. However, DOT has not completed the plan, and they have promised they will come to the Traffic and Transportation Committee when the plan is completed. So we are saying, in the meantime, though, there's this vulnerable area down to Bleecker. So maybe where there's this little window of opportunity, could you please do some striping for a protected bike lane between Bleecker up to Greenwich Avenue? And that was why we added the other side, because there's lack of clarity. Somebody said, does that mean you're not asking for it all the way down south? You said, oh, yes, we are. Okay.
Zach has, please.
First, a question. In your be it resolved about canceling the open street on Spring Street, you say, what do you mean by positively view canceling? Because then later in there, you're both suggesting a study and saying an approach that might include canceling.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was clear. We're saying that we lean toward canceling it. It just doesn't seem to be working. However, it was brought up congestion pricing. And that because a lot of the problem has to do with diversion of traffic to other streets, meaning lots of traffic right now, that there's the possibility that with congestion pricing, it will be much reduced and there may not be the same kind of impact. So we're saying we would rather wait to see how congestion pricing is working in that area.
Could we, could we propose an amendment to say that we want to evaluate how congestion is pricing before recommending a cancellation? Because the way it's written is not clear. Because the one before says strongly recommend canceling, and then that one says positively views canceling in consideration of a traffic pattern.
As opposed to strongly recommending. We're strongly recommending in one way, no way do we want to see open Lafayette Street or Morton. But the other one is
Oh, we can't hear online. Guys. We've lost audio.
I'm sorry. Can they hear us now?
Now we can.
Yep, go ahead.
I would just propose an amendment that said CB2 wants to actively evaluate the extended open street pending the expected changes in traffic pattern, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just ask Carter because he has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm going to be recusing on this because I help volunteer to manage one of the other open streets, but there were a lot of complaints about this open street on Spring Street specifically. And also the issue is that all the traffic goes up Sullivan Street. And that's why the traffic study was requested, because you take a major eastbound corridor through the village, which is Spring Street, and all the cars have to then go up Sullivan Street, which has caused a lot of problems, including for myself. I've been chased up on my bicycle by cars who are very angry that they got caught in a traffic situation there, because you're expecting to, you know, all the people who are visiting who want to get everywhere fast. And that was the issue there. But there were a lot of people from that area who came and spoke about Spring Street and the issues that had caused specifically there.
I'm sorry, are you still proposing an amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, what specifically are you proposing? We need language so people know.
I would put that CB2, resolve that CB2 will actively monitor the open street encompassing Spring Street, et cetera, and then leave the rest of the language.
Okay. Is there any discussion of that?
So you mean to say that we would still say we positively view canceling the open street?
The DOT? Yeah, that's right.
Not
Okay,
quite
yeah,
sure
we
exactly.
you cannot have that kind of conversation. We need to hear every element of so please.
Yeah, that's
Go
what
ahead.
I'm asking. No, I'm asking, it's a whole long statement here, and you're just simply saying slip it in someplace. Can you tell me how you'd like to slip it in?
I just wanted to get rid of the positively views canceling and replace that with softer language, since the cancellation is a potential outcome later in there. So that we're more upfront of, we want to see the impact of the traffic. And then if
On a more neutral.
I want, yeah, a more neutral tone.
Okay, that's the function. So is there any other discussion of that particular amendment request?
I'm so sorry, it hasn't been seconded.
You're correct. Any second to that amendment? Is there anybody online? If not, then the amendment cannot be considered. Is there anything else in that resolution that people would like to discuss?
Just one thing I wanted to add to the record, but not to change this. The comments about Christopher Street and Waverly Place, to me, seem a little overblown. To say there's no community engagement there, open air drug markets. I mean, it's Jeffrey's Grocer, which is a restaurant that has tables, and Stonewall, which is the second oldest gay bar in New York City, that has a large open space. So they use that open street, very strong community engagement. And also it's next to the only LGBT federal park in the country that is not included. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, please.
I believe, and I'll let Shirley answer that, but I believe that's the feedback we heard at the meeting, correct? Wasn't your characterization, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is simply reporting what several people showed up about these streets. There were 17 approved open streets. So it wasn't like there was complaining about every single approved open street. The specific ones that we have commented on are in response to very, very strong community response. And that was only 7. And actually, it was the combination of the 2 Spring and the Christopher and Waverly, it really was only 5. The other ones we had nothing to say because it was out there so people could comment. And they didn't.
Okay, are you proposing another? Okay, then I think there's no further discussion of the language of resolution number 2. Is there any objection to taking them as a block? Seeing none, all in favor of 1, 2, and 3.
Aye.
Just no on two.
Okay, we have Kazaz is no on 2, and we have a recusal from Booth on this, on number 2 as well. And the reason again, I'm sorry.
I help volunteer to manage one of the open streets. That's not one of the problematic streets.
Okay, and yes, Chris,
No on two.
and no on 2 from Dignas. Thank you. Okay, they passed. Thank you. So next is land use.
Okay,
Hang on one sec.
thank you, Susan. I'll be presenting for land use.
I know they're both of our co-chairs are online, so.
Hi, there's a little feedback.
I know, this is nice.
Okay, can you hear? Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you. We hear you. We hear you.
We might need someone in the room to present this.
Yeah.
I will make this mercifully
I
short.
don't know if there's anybody in the room who could present that.
I can read it.
Okay, if we can't get a clear,
Donna, would you like to read the resolution? Since
or Frederica is here.
Frederica?
Better now. You want to try it?
Yeah, it seems.
No.
That's too much.
No, it's not better.
If our life depended on it.
And you know something, I'm gonna ask if it's okay, Katie and Eugene, I'm gonna have Frederica, because she's in the room, read them to us.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Just one
Just one minute.
and a short one.
Oh, I'm sorry, just one, yeah, correct.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, this is about 601 Washington Street, an application for authorization to facilitate a new 7-space automated parking facility in an existing 10-unit residential development. This is private parking. They were entitled to 15 spaces. They're asking for 7. And therefore be it resolved that CB2 recommends approval as long as the flashing warning light is visible to pedestrians when cars are both entering and exiting the facility.
Thank you. Is there, yes, Shirley?
Yeah, well, I have, one thing is the question, was this thank you. Was this in response to residents requesting? Was this in response to the residents or the condominium owners requesting that parking facilities?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I see problems with having congestion pricing coming in specifically to reduce traffic. Adding parking increases traffic. So that's one thing. So I am opposed to that. And the other thing is in terms of curb cuts, we've had this problem come before us many times before the Traffic and Transportation Committee. And the curb cuts, think about it. What it does is it interferes with pedestrian access. It's particularly dangerous, of course, when cars are going in and out of that parking area. Yes, you're going to have a little flashing light, but it's still pretty tenuous. And even when cars aren't going in and out, it interferes with pedestrian access. You've got a cut in the middle of the sidewalk. So I would say I'd be opposed to this.
Understood. Katie and Eugene, isn't this actually a reduction in curb cuts? Didn't they have 3?
Yes.
And now
Yes.
they'll have 1. They were
Yes, that
entitled
that
to
is true.
15 spaces. They have 10 units. They're only asking for 7. We were on record back in 2017. If you remember, 21 East 12th Street.
Do I remember? I
Yes.
oppose that
And we
also.
said that we would have approved that if it had only been for residents. And this is an example of what we were advocating for in 2017. And as far as congestion pricing, I might agree with you personally, but I think the market is gonna determine that.
But I'm saying in terms of what the object is congestion pricing.
Right, but you could
is to
argue also
reduce
that the
traffic.
people will have the cars, but now they'll be in a garage instead of on the street.
And it still be additional traffic.
Sure,
Okay, whatever.
Shirley. No back. Okay, Carter, please.
I certainly share a lot of Shirley's, I share a lot of Shirley's sentiments, but when this application was brought to us, there were only 4 factors that were reviewable. And the committee extensively, at my prodding, reviewed all 4 of those factors, and that's where this finding came from. And whether or not it's there is not one of the elements. It's actually, the 4 elements are clearly outlined in the zoning regulations. I just, from a perspective of the committee point of view.
Thank you. Anything else on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstent, all against?
No.
You're against it? Okay, please. And Secunda is also against. And you have any online? I'm sorry, I can't really tell.
Thank you.
My computer's gone.
I do not see any hands raised online.
Okay, any abstentions or recusals? Okay, thank you very much. It passes. And next is SLA.
Okay, that's it. Can you hear me? Yep. Is it working or?
Yeah, you may want to hold it so you can hold those.
Yeah, okay. So SLA 1 met on April 2nd. We had 16 applications, 6 resolutions. All the decisions were unanimous. The first one was Veg 240 Lafayette Street, LLC at 240 Lafayette. That was a restaurant wine, deny unless with the stipulations being adhered to. Gammon Cafe LLC, doing business as 7 Spring Street Cafe at 7 Spring Street. This is an on-premise for a tavern, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Next one is 174 Mott Hospitality LLC and 174 Mott LLC. At 174 Mott Street, also known as 368 Broome Street. That's a new on-premise for a restaurant, previously unlicensed location, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Parcel 72 McDougal LLC, doing business as Parcel McDougal at 72 McDougal. On-premise for a restaurant, this is a transfer, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Yumway LLC at 41 Elizabeth Street. It's an on-premise for a restaurant, previously unlicensed location. That was a deny unanimous. And Sushi Delic LLC, doing business as Sushi Delic at 177 Lafayette Street. That's new on-premise. It's a class change. They had a restaurant wine, and that's deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. And items 7 through 16 are layovers, withdrawals, or they failed to appear.
Does anyone, I'm sorry, does anyone want to discuss any of those items or call them out? Okay, seeing none, if there's no objection, we will vote on all of those items as a block. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions or recusals? Okay, thank you. No, okay, number 2, we're gonna, SLA 2 will be a roll call vote because it's our last one. But Valerie does want to give us a brief report on outdoor dining because there's just so much information that we would like to share with you at this time. So we'll next do SLA 2, take that vote, and then please wait. Don't leave so fast because I'd like Valerie to report.
Okay, SLA 2 met on April 4th, in person. We had 20 applications, 8 resolutions. 2 of those we waived the appearance on, and all the decisions were also unanimous on this one. Mackie Mackie, 350 Hudson Street, LLC at 350 Hudson is a restaurant wine, previously unlicensed location, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Saltwater NYC 2 LLC, doing business as Saltwater Coffee, 126 Waverly Place. It's a tavern wine. Previously unlicensed location, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. 299 Hospitality LLC at 299 West Houston Street. This is an on-premise for a restaurant, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. AV 7th Avenue LLC, doing business as Atlantico Vineo, 89 7th Avenue South, also known as 16 Barrow. That was a deny unanimous. And 28 7th Avenue South Hospitality LLC at 28 7th Avenue South. That's an on-premise for a restaurant. That was also a deny unanimous. Giuliani Group, Inc., doing business as Lalico Stories of Georgia at 80 Carmine Street. This is an on-premise for a restaurant, deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. DBNB Partners LLC, formerly known as DBNB LLC, doing business as Serpentine at 64 Greenwich Avenue. This was just a re-notification for the change in the name. They got their license. While we were going through this, they re-signed the stipulations, exactly the same, just with the name change. So if we ever search it in the future, we might be able to find it. 214 Sullivan LLC at 214 Sullivan Street. We heard this last month for an on-premise. They are simultaneously applying for a restaurant wine so that they could get a temporary permit quicker. The liquor authority is allowing them to apply for both license at the same time. So they had signed the STIPs last month. It was checked off as both an on-premise and a restaurant wine. So we have everything. We waived the appearance and the committee voted to deny unless with stipulations on that one unanimous. And then items 9 through 20 are layovers or withdrawals.
Thank you. Is there anyone want to discuss any of those items or call them out? Okay, then we will take them as a block. It's 1 through 8 and the layovers are 9 through 20. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
All right. I'm going to skip folks who are absent with notice. Will Benesh
Here.
and yes on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just confirming. Keen Berger,
Yes.
Carter Booth,
Yes.
Katie Bordenaro.
Yes.
Looking. Oh,
Yes, we
perfect.
heard
I
a
can hear
yes.
you. Got it, Katie. Thank you. Rich Coccapolo.
Yes.
That's a yes.
Thank you. Yes. Ritu Chatri,
Yes.
Valerie De La Rosa,
Yes.
Chris Dignas.
No, I'm 5, but otherwise I'm good.
Okay. Mar Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Stella Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Cormac Flynn,
Yes.
Susan Gammy,
Yes.
Zachary Kazaz, Susan Kent,
Yes.
Jean Kylie,
Yes.
Ivy Kwan Arth,
Yes, sorry.
you're good. Thank you. Patricia Laria,
Yes.
Michael Levine,
Yes.
Ed Ma,
See you.
Oh, no.
Oh, my.
Oh, no.
I have them on my computer too. I can pull it up here.
Yes,
I can tell you the votes.
okay.
Okay, thanks, Carter. Ed Ma is yes. Is that correct?
Yes, Edma, yes.
Matthew Metzger,
Yay to all.
Brian Pape,
Yes.
Donna Raftery,
Yes.
Lois Rakoff,
Yes to all.
Bo Riccobono is online. Carter, do you mind?
I don't think he's online.
I saw it was, unless he left.
It's not responding.
Okay, if he's not responding, he's absent.
Lucio Sands,
Yes.
Shirley Secunda,
Yes.
Frederica Siegel,
Yes.
Emma Smith, yes. Dr. Shirley Smith, Chenault Spence,
Yes.
also online, if we can see him.
Yes.
Great. Yes. Anthony Wong. Anthony,
Affirmative, yes.
perfect. Eugene Yu.
Yes.
He's also online. if he's-
Yes.
Thank you, Eugene. We heard you.
Okay, yes, they all pass and now we, thank you very much. And Valerie, please go ahead.
Hi. I'll go really quickly. The report's in there. It's 4 pages. The Outdoor Dining Working Group met last Monday. We hosted, DOT presented the pedestrian mobility plan. That mobility plan is the nexus for the city's public realm. And it informs the siting of sidewalk cafes and roadway cafes. If any of your committees deal with open space, with parks, with anything in the streets, highly recommend you watch the recording. It's on the CB2 Outdoor Dining Working page. It basically, The plan uses anticipated pedestrian demand, using a set of parameters which include like restaurant data, which they take from the DOH/MH, restaurant grade data, retail density, office density, parks, school frontages, bus stops, and subway. And they put it into a model, and then they classified every single street in the city into one of 5 categories. You can read all about them in the report, but what's important is that street classification is going to determine whether or not one, a operator is eligible to have a sidewalk cafe because they may not be able to meet the clear path requirement. So the mobility plan is a set of aspirational guidelines that DOT is shopping around to different agencies. So they're kind of best practices. So the clear path is reduced and increased in some instances for different categories. So go to the CB2 outdoor dining page, and you can click a link to the pedestrian map, and you can see what classification your street is. For example, some of the global corridors are Broadway. A regional corridor is Bleecker from 6th Avenue on, whereas Bleecker from 6th Avenue to 8th Avenue is a neighborhood corridor, and the clear path changes. So it changes from block to block. And that's pretty much the report. It's all in there. Any questions?
Cormac.
Yeah, on page, I don't have mics. Can everybody hear me? On page 3, there's a grid, but only one thing on the grid is filled out. Is that a typo? Should I just go?
So, so that's something I believe when this got PDF'd by the office, perhaps. It's in the online version. You can read it all, but what's important about that grid is it just shows what the clear path is on the regional corridor street in the rules for dining out NYC versus what that looks like in the mobility plan. So just trying to show that. So I do realize, thank you for pointing that out, that in print it did not come through. And there's a couple other reports that happened to as well.
We'll review it all online anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Any other questions? We have not received any applications yet. So.
Oh, yeah, is your takeaway from this that it's gonna be almost impossible for restaurants to have outdoor dining because most of our streets are very small? Like, I just didn't quite understand that.
Oh, no. So we just wanted to understand how and what the pedestrian mobility plan was for our working group and the work that we do, because it understanding how the clear path is determined, and they've renamed things such as the amenity zone, and the temporary program is now the furnishing zone, and that is the space on the sidewalk right by the curb. So that in the temporary program and in the permanent program, you're not allowed to have seating there, obviously. You see it everywhere right now in the temporary program, so that will be enforced in the permanent program. So it's not a matter, it's just, we've just heard different operators have asked, for example, on Mott Street. So some places, if it's a regional corridor, it's a 10-foot required clear path. And you can, in some instances, that's just is not physically possible. So when you look on the DOT site plan that a operator would fill out, they have to they have to go and look up and classify their street. And so that's what it is. It's not good or bad. It's just what it is.
Yes, Keith.
Yeah, I really don't quite understand. I think what you're saying is that because of these clear path resolutions, we're gonna have fewer fewer restaurants, fewer open streets, fewer sidewalk cafes, because there are new regulations that require it. Is that what you're saying?
I am actually not making that characterization. That's dependent on, there's so many other factors that it's not a self-certification program anymore. It requires money being put up front, and it's just a longer process to go through. So
Think about it.
I think that there are definitely locations that will not be able to participate in the program. I don't know whether or not their desire or not to is, and how that's going to affect it. I've sat on probably 7 or 8 DOT presentations on this, both to the industry and community boards. the borough trainings that both the staff and our working group attended online. So I've heard this presentation about 7 or 8 times, and the Q&A is really where all the nuances are. And so a lot of operators, they're trying to understand like why their street is classified a certain way. They don't, this is kind of the first time they've heard of the pedestrian mobility plan. The plan kind of came into fruition at the end of 2019, and it's nothing to be voted on. It's just a set of aspirational guidelines, but those were taken and incorporated into policy, which is what the goal of the plan is for it to be incorporated into different policy across the city. So that was why we wanted to have the presentation. We have a really solid recording of it so that anyone else, an operator, a resident, and any other stakeholders can go watch it and understand how and why it came to be. I have links on our website that explain the methodology from DOT as well. So it's to be said like how it's all going to play out. Not sure. I can't forecast what I think is going to happen there, but it is.
Yeah,
it's actually
the website she really has put a lot of effort into linking up, information. So it's a really great resource.
Right, but if she can't predict.
Well, I don't know that it's about predicting. It's simply there are parameters in place now that operators have to now consider that they didn't have to before.
And there's other items such as the way tree pits are measured are different in the permanent program than they were in the old sidewalk cafe program and even in the temporary program. And so that's going to have some sort of effect as well. But again, that was all promulgated in the rules and in the legislation. So.
Yes, Carter.
So the history is we had a sidewalk cafe program, then there was the temporary program, now we have the new program. Between the original sidewalk cafe program, there were limitations based on zoning text in New York City on where sidewalk cafes could be, where they could not be. They removed all of the zoning restrictions on where sidewalk cafes could be and cannot be. What they replaced it with is deciding which sidewalks are eligible for a sidewalk cafe. They're utilizing the pedestrian mobility plan, which takes into account the density of the uses in our community. And so for certain streets that have a higher foot traffic, they've created a much wider requirement so that pedestrians can move along with sidewalk cafes being there. But because our built environment predates and is so old, in many areas, it doesn't make sense to have sidewalk cafes because of the pedestrian usage on those particular streets. This plan is the first attempt to take that into account. So it's interesting when you look at it, how predictive it is. It's actually fairly good in identifying the heavily used streets, but it is surprising to restaurant operators in certain areas because they have been able to have sidewalk cafes before, but it never took into account the density of the pedestrians. So this is probably a better way at planning than what was previously there. It's not perfect, and that's part of the presentation was all about how they decided each street. And so that's the difference
Right, that's
between
right.
then and now.
It's basically a good thing.
Depending on who you are, then that's.
Right.
For people being able to walk by.
Okay. I'm sorry, does Cormac have, I'm sorry, please, Cormac has a question.
I actually have no question to Valerie. I was just going to clarify these comments, but I'll just let it go.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just say, anybody's
somebody
worried
online?
that this is going to mean there's less sidewalk cafes, you're wrong.
Yeah. I think you can predict that.
Okay, we have somebody online. Do we have, and we have Gazak. I know that. Chenault. And we have Chenault online. Let's go to Chenault then.
Yes, Valerie, want to know.
Okay, the volume is too low to hear him.
Try again, Sean.
Okay.
Try again, Chenault.
It's not urgent. I'll do it later.
He says.
I can also quickly report that the Landmarks Preservation Commission held a public hearing this past Monday on outdoor dining rules for historic districts and landmark buildings. It's pretty similar to what was in there before. So anything that touches the building or any sort of awning will be referred from DOT to landmarks. So nothing different from the old program. But Brian, did you have your?
Zach has something.
Have they done any sort of analysis on, sorry, because I'm just looking at this map for the first time, on how many of the sidewalks are the minimum that they are anticipating? Because like a regional corridor said it is, the sidewalk width is 20 feet, and there are many regional corridors that are in the village according to this map, but very few sidewalks that are 20 feet wide.
Right.
So have they done any analysis to say like, here's how many could reasonably fit within this categorization from a street perspective?
So the categorization is not, and some of the residents have reached out about that because they're saying, well, this street is actually it's underneath this amount number, but it's this categorization. Remember, the categorization is a model that they built using several parameters. So they're giving a ballpark of what that square footage is. It's not contingent on, like, it's not, the classification doesn't work that, okay, if it's under 20 feet, it's this, even though that's what that chart says on there, that's not, it's a model that they built, and there's a 3-page methodology that explains how they put the model together, that takes all those different data points.
Okay.
And they understand that this is done on a citywide basis, and that, this is apt to change.
Susan.
Yeah,
That'd be heard
I
now.
have a question, a perspective question. If one looks at streets in one's neighborhood and sees that clearly using this sort of amalgam of parameters, a street has been defined in a way to allow a sidewalk cafe, but that the result of that might be that, say, a wheelchair can't pass on the street, how would one proceed to address that at, like if I saw tomorrow that my street is categorized in a certain way that, and I know for a fact that wheelchairs won't be able to get down the street, what would be the proper way to address this?
There's several things you could do when the application comes up. You could testify about that, when you could send in your feedback to DOT regarding the classification of the street on the map.
Because I think many of us here as boots on the ground in the community will find that there are streets that have been categorized in certain ways, understandably, given the variety of factors that go into this determination, but that when translated to our actual specific streets, that we will find, I think, that there will be situations where people who need, who use mobility devices may be seriously disadvantaged. And I think as a community, we need to be very aware of that.
Unfortunately, that may be something that we're going to have to wait to see how it actually plays out.
I just have real concern about that, yeah.
I would point out too, that we were the first community board out of all 59 to receive this presentation. So I'd been seeking this out for probably the last 5 to 6 months, and then the program was rolling out, and then they didn't want to come give the presentation. So very thankful that that was able to happen.
Michael has a question.
Yes. Microphone. Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, Valerie, this is the same question I asked you before. When the applications come to us, will it be considered by the working group, or will it go to one of our other committees? Sidewalk cafes were once handled by what had been the street activity committee. What is your prediction as to how we will consider applications in the future?
So all of our meeting dates are on the calendar through December for the outdoor dining working group. These applications at this point will go through the working group. It's the most malleable and can quickly come together. And it spans SLA, spans traffic and transportation, and has kind of, as well as Stella with her work on the program and the temporary program. So it's really about processing these very quickly. This is about, they are going to be vetted by DOT, then sent to us, and the feedback that we are seeking has got to address something specific to the rules. It's really, we cannot hear feedback that is kind of unproductive in terms of, we don't want that, we just don't want it. So it's really about, this has been regulated, there are rules, and so we are looking to process these efficiently and fairly for everyone involved.
Yes.
I would just like to make an observation that this kind of change is very broad, and historically, we can all perhaps look into history books and the old photographs and see how much sidewalks have been reduced in order to increase traffic, car parking at the curb and so forth. So this may be a wake-up call for our society to say, there are more important things than just having free parking on the street. Maybe we need to increase the size of our sidewalks.
Yeah.
And I would certainly encourage that.
I'm sorry, did someone else have their hand up or something? Renaud, please go ahead.
Yes, can I be heard now? Everything.
Enough. We'll repeat your question if we need to.
Okay, I can't be heard.
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Valerie, if you can hear me, my question is, do you feel that all the regulations of the classifications work well for some of our streets that are simply anomalies for the city in general, for streets in general?
I mean, to quickly answer that, I mean, it's very clear that Broadway is a global corridor that runs throughout our district. A smaller street like a connector street being Minetta Street, that makes sense. So, you know, I think the regional corridors, there's some, for example, like Christopher Street from Hudson to Sixth Avenue is considered a regional corridor. People may think that, you know, is a smaller street maybe. So you just kind of need to look around the map and play around with it and see. And there are some exceptions to the regional corridor, but only if it was a street where only small sidewalk cafes were allowed, then the clear path can be reduced from 10 feet to 8 feet. But it has to meet kind of that parameter, and it has to show that they cannot meet the 10-foot clear path.
And the other.
I don't see any more questions. So thank you so much, Valerie. There's a tremendous amount of work that's being done. Oh, okay, Chanel, yes, please.
The feedback that you speak about, is that a place that we could address what we had hoped would be a landmark address? That they're ugly or that they block a landmark completely or those kinds of things? Can we get into that?
I don't think so. I mean, the public hearing was on Monday. It was delayed a month. I had sent in the material to the Landmarks Committee about this. And so it was not brought up or taken up, and no one could articulate any specific issues that they had when asked. And it's all very similar to how Landmarks Preservation Commission handled it in the past. So that was the opportunity for feedback on that.
We
And
were
again,
just concerned
looking
about
about the
something
design,
else.
is specifically about when something is touching the building. And again, that's very similar to what the pre-pandemic sidewalk cafe program was. So I did send this out to the leadership about if this was going to be addressed by the Landmarks Committee.
And there was one thing that seemed just ridiculous.
Thank you, Valerie.
A conduit running from
I'm
the
sorry.
building. A
Do you have another
conduit
question?
running from the building.
Actually, I was going to ask if there was any new business. Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. And understanding.
It's a nice room. Well lit.